It would depend on your local laws for like public indecency, but especially in the presence of minors, I would think some of that behavior would be caught up in laws. Uh, and it's another thing. We have a real problem in this country with selective justice, or like to sometimes enforcement of laws and sometimes not.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's a big proponent of equality under the law. So I don't really think, for example, that having used drugs should disqualify you from gun ownership. But if it does, if that's the law, then sure as heck that needs to apply to Hunter Biden as well. Right? That's my perspective. Is we need to have equal treatment under the law for everyone.
I don't have this one on the schedule, but I was like, there's so much in there, and I have the whole IRS obstruction timeline and everything like that of the Hunter Biden situation. So you're right. I think that if there is a law, it needs to apply to everybody, and it's just not being applied equally across the board, especially when it comes to the elites, because there was a poll I recently found last week that showed like 70% of the even Democrats agreed. It was like something like 80% of people think that Joe Biden did something wrong with mishandled classified information. Same amount of people, actually more people, thought Hillary Clinton did something wrong when she destroyed her server. And so it's like, but yet they're going after Trump. And so that's what's causing.
So I tweeted something that people didn't like. I tweeted that in a just world, Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, and Donald Trump would all be in jail. And everybody got mad about that one. But the point I was simply trying to make is just that, like, if somebody not named Hillary Clinton or not named Donald Trump, if a random civil servant or like military staffer handled classified information in the way they handled it, whether it's Trump or Clinton or potentially Biden, although we don't know as much about his case yet, they would go to jail. Like, we have two separate standards. I know you probably know more about this being a veteran, right? But like, there are stories of service people who mishandle classified information and go to jail for years, but it's like we have a politician standard when they do it, and then a normal person standard, what happens when they do it, and that one is way worse than the politician standard. They should be the same. Yeah. They really should.
Yeah, and there was something that came out that showed that what Hunter Biden would have been charged for, like the gun crimes, got somebody else 13 years in prison. And so it's like, wait a second. And actually, the Department of Justice broke their own rules in prosecuting. They have rules that will to prosecute the toughest crimes, and yet they didn't pursue the toughest crimes. And actually, the IRS recommended, from the IRS whistleblowers, they recommended that he'd be charged at two felonies for two different felonies for 2 different years, like not filing. It was falsifying tax returns and stuff like that. And I mean, taxation is theft, but if you're going to have these rules and it applies to everybody else, it damn well better apply to.
Exactly. Like, if I don't pay my taxes, I will get in serious trouble. So if the Biden family doesn't pay their taxes, they should get the same thing. That's all I'm saying. Ideally, I wouldn't like Hunter Biden to have to pay much taxes at all, or me. But if we're going to, we have to have it equal for everybody. That shouldn't be too much to ask.
Did you see that he allegedly, according to the whistleblowers, paid for hookers and wrote him off on his taxes?
I did not see that, and I guess I can't confirm that, but I will say it tracks, like, with his personality.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, you know what the most? I'm not going to swear on your stream, but the most messed up thing of the entire Hunter Biden saga is not the drugs, it's not the hookers, it's not the tax stuff, it's not the gun charge. It is the daughter that he has, 4-year-old Navy Joan, that he refuses to claim paternity of, even though it's been scientifically proven in court proceedings. And he has fought to lower his child support, and he has fought to block Navy Joan from having the last name Biden. That is disgraceful. Yeah. We have an epidemic of deadbeat dads in this country, and Hunter Biden is one of the worst in public life. And then Joe Biden, doesn't acknowledge his grandchildren. He says he has 6, but he actually has 7. They put up 6 stockings at the White House for the grandkids, not 7. It's like they just treat this innocent kid like the black sheep of the family through no fault of her own. It's not her fault she was born out of wedlock. I think it's so messed up, and it barely gets any attention or coverage because it's a Democrat.
No, you're absolutely right. That is probably the worst part of the entire saga. I fully agree. I actually said something like that on Twitter the other day. I'm like, I actually tweeted straight to POTUS like, hey, what about your 7th grandchild? Because not only did Hunter Biden fight to reduce child support, he flew there on a private jet.
You couldn't write this. You couldn't write that.
No, you couldn't. And you're absolutely right. The worst part too is, like you said, and then Joe Biden doesn't even acknowledge, for anything.
Remember when he said he was going to restore decency and norms?
Oh yeah.
At least with Trump, Trump was a degenerate, right? He was totally immoral, but at least you knew that. At least he didn't claim to be some pious person.